Welcome back to another episode of The Political Life. Today, we are leaving Pennsylvania and heading out west to the beautiful, sunny state of Nevada. And we are going to get the overview from Nevada from John Oceguera. And we will find out if I pronounced that correctly. I think I have, but I know his wife pronounced it a little differently, but we'll find out if I did it right. And John works with Strategies 360. They have a huge office out in Nevada, one of the top lobbying firms in Nevada, kind of the go-to people. And John has been nice enough to join the show and give us a little bit of the lay of the land in Nevada. John, welcome to the show.
Well, thanks. It's good to be here.
So, John, we are taping this on Friday, November 4th. It's going to air on Monday, the day before Election Day. So for people who only know that the Nevada Senate race is one of the important races, why don't you give our listeners just kind of an overview about the two candidates and where they stand?
Well, absolutely. First, I have to, just because I know you're coming from the East Coast and Nevada sounds right to you, I got to correct you because it's like the fingernails on the chalkboard. We say it Nevada, just so you know.
Nevada. Okay. Got it. Showing my everybody. So when I got done with the intro, everyone there just turned it off immediately, saying this guy's right. Clearly an outsider and has no idea what he's doing.
In legislative hearings, if you were to come and testify and say Nevada, you would probably get a stern talking to and maybe not even get to talk.
Well, that's the way it should be, John, right? That's why they need guys like you.
That's right. Well, our United States Senate race, back to your question, is, I think, the one race that could change everything here in across the country. People are really looking at this race. Money that's been spent is just astronomical. You can't move in this town in Las Vegas or in the state without, a political ad of being touched somehow. I mean, I've even seen the darn, billboard trucks driving around with ads on them now. I think they're using every possible means to communicate with people. And it is just a barn burner, very, very close. The incumbent is Catherine Cortez Masto, the first Latina elected to the United States Senate, was our Secretary of State. Was our Attorney General. And she was kind of handpicked by Harry Reid, God rest his soul, and has done a phenomenal job. Adam Laxalt was also our Attorney General, ran for governor, and now is running for the United States Senate. Lost that race and now running for the United States Senate. All polls are showing that this is, within the margin of error. It's a close one, for sure.
And he comes from a political family, correct?
He does. Paul Laxalt is his grandfather. His father is Pete Domenici. Both served in the United States Senate. And the Laxalt family, Laxalt name, very well known here in the state. That is, if you're someone like me, who's a fourth-generation Nevadan. However, that's uncommon. A lot of people from Nevada come from other places. A lot of imports from other states. So I'm not sure how much that weighs in. The carpetbagger thing really hasn't really worked in Nevada very effectively because a lot of people come from different places. A lot of, first generation Nevadans.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. But no, you are exactly right. We have in the past couple of weeks, we talked to people in Georgia, Eric Tannenblatt from Denton's, and then we went up and talked to someone in Pennsylvania and now Nevada, and all three races are very close. Pennsylvania, they thought, post the debate that Dr. Oz was maybe pulling ahead, but now I hear that may or may not be the case. Already, a lot of people had already voted prior to the debate, and I think people are realizing that the Senate is in the balance, so they may be just sticking with the party. Georgia is also completely up in the air. The interesting thing about Georgia is that you need 50% plus one. So Eric explained to us that we could be back in a runoff situation because there's a third candidate, a libertarian candidate, and they may not get 50%. And if they don't, the winner doesn't get 50%. We're just like 2 years ago, and we're back in a runoff. And then wow. everyone, as you just mentioned, and eyes are kind of out in with you all as the third kind of critical seat. And I can't remember what the numbers were, but the amount of money that's being spent on that Senate race is just incredible.
It is astronomical. The outside money, call it what you want, dark money, whatever you want to call it, it's in the tens of millions for a population of 3.5 million people in the state of Nevada. I know that both Cortez Masto and Laxalt have shattered records for fundraising individually, but the outside money is something that we've never seen before. Interestingly, like you said, debate had already happened in these other places. Well, here we are, voting by mail for really the first time. We did it during the pandemic, but this is where everyone has been mailed a mail-in ballot. And that's really the factor that you can't figure out 100%. You can look at the early voting. Today is last day of early voting, and we'll have a good idea. I mean, we have a good idea now. The past 2 weeks, we have a fairly good idea. The Republicans are voting about 1.5 times to 1 to the Democrats. However, in the mail ballot, the Democrats are voting about 2 to 1 to the Republicans. So that's built up a little bit of a firewall for Democrats, but not very much. When I say a little bit, I'm talking 25,000 votes. Election day voting, Republicans traditionally come out very, very strong, which will erode that little firewall fairly quickly. What we don't know is the mail ballots have to be postmarked by election day. So I would say a couple things. One, if that race is within 2 to 3%, you won't hear anybody conceding on election night. There will be probably no victory speeches as well, because the elections folks have until the 14th to count all those ballots. So if they're postmarked on the 8th, they have until the 14th. And there's really no good way to predict how many mail ballots are still going to come in the last couple of days. You would think you could look at the mail ballots day by day and see, 5,000 came in a day for the last 10 days, but that's not really how it's worked. Some days it says, they report out none. The next day they report out, double the number. And so the remaining mail ballots, we could be waiting a few days to find out what those results are. That's how close it is.
Wow, that's incredible. Yeah, the states that do it like that, where you can, as long as it's postmarked by election day, boy, that creates a little bit of a lag in determining the winner in races like that. That's going to be between Nevada and Georgia. It is going to be kind of a waiting game.
Yeah, I would say that we have a number of races that you won't see anybody making concession speeches or victory speeches on the night of the election, based on the fact that those mail-in ballots are out there. And early voting, stops today, this evening at 7. But you could still mail your ballot today, tomorrow, the next day, Monday, Tuesday, and those will continue to trickle in until the last time they can count them is the 14th.
Now, when you say early voting, what do you mean by early voting stops today?
So in Nevada, you can vote in person at locations throughout the community early before the election. And we've been doing this for a long time. We haven't been doing the mail voting, but we've been doing the early voting where there are election stations positioned throughout the community that you can go cast your ballot in advance of the election so that you don't have to actually do it on election day.
And today's the last day. It's not available Saturday, Sunday, or Monday, and then you can vote again on Tuesday in person if you want.
That's correct.
Or mail in your ballot.
That's correct. And every single registered voter got a mail-in in Nevada this year.
Wow. It's a brave new world. And John, and for, as you know, we have a lot of in-house government relations people that listen. Tell us about the state legislature and any changes there.
Yeah, so I think probably more interestingly would be the executive branch, but the state legislature, I think the Democrats have set themselves up pretty well in redistricting just last session so that the Democrats will still maintain control of the assembly. No matter what the wave is, whether there is one or there's a massive tidal wave, red wave, the Democrats will still hold the assembly. The Senate, though, is another question. It's only a one vote difference from the Democrats to the Republicans, and that could flip. There's 3 seats in the Senate that I would say that are in play, and so if we see a wave, you could see control of the Senate go a different way. The executive branch, the governor's race, is very, very, very close. I would say even closer than the United States Senate race. You could see a split, some split ticket voters there. You could see the governor lose and Catherine Cortez win. I don't think that's out of the question. The governor is running against the sitting sheriff of Clark County, the largest county in the state, Joe Lombardo. And, the governor was dealt a fairly tough hand, just like a lot of governors, based on the fact that we had a worldwide pandemic and, the governor was forced to shut down the Strip, put a lot of people out of work, and that is very difficult. So I would say that race is very, very close. Interestingly enough, in the other executive branch races, the Secretary of State, the Attorney General, Controller, Treasurer, on the right, you have some very far right folks, some election denier kind of folks, and I say that with that's they truly are. And on the left, you have incumbents. So all those races will be close, and those will probably be the ones that will be the most interesting. I think the Senate and the Assembly end up, either split or the Democrats remaining in control. The governor's race, however, could go either way, and some of the state executive offices are, again, very, very close as well. I think the Attorney General last time won by the thinnest of margins. Let's just put it that way. So that race could be very competitive as well.
Boy, you're going to have a busy Tuesday, and it sounds like it's going to be continue into Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and maybe beyond.
My colleagues and I are going to go have dinner at a nice restaurant about 8 p.m., take our laptops, and we'll pay attention, and then we'll decide, what hotel that we're going to go to, the Republicans or the Democrats, because we don't know who's going to come out on top.
Really have no idea. And John, so prior to running into the Capitol for work, you used to run into burning buildings. You have an unusual path into this business. You were a firefighter, a union leader, got a taste of politics that way, representing your union up at the Capitol and interacting with legislators. And then you made the jump when you retired to full-time lobbying. An incredible, interesting, unique career path into this business.
Yeah. Well, I've been often asked, why firefighting prepared me for elected office. And I will tell you, it's very similar. You make decisions with limited amount of information quickly that affect people's lives. So they're not that they're not that different. I spent 23 years or so on the fire department. Retired here as the assistant fire chief. So I was, I've sat on both sides of that negotiating table, and I was a labor leader, like a lot of good labor leaders end up in management as well. And that I saw a lot of things there that I thought, well, heck, I think I can do just as good a job. And so I ran for office, and I was elected to the legislature, served there for 12 years, which is the term limits here in Nevada. Was the majority leader for 4 years, 2 terms, and then I was the speaker in my last term in the legislature. And then I thought I was retired. I retired from the fire department and was kind of enjoying that, painting the house and pouring concrete and doing all the kind of fun things that you get to do when you retire. And a guy came along named Ron Dotsauer, who owns the company that I worked for, Strategies 360, and he was opening up a Nevada office. And he was looking for my advice on people he should hire, and I gave him a number of people that I thought he should talk to, and he came back a couple of days later and said, I think you were spot on those folks, but what are you doing? And I said, I'm good. I'm retired. Well, eventually he talked me into it, and here I am, almost 10 years later, running this office in Nevada. We're in 13 states, all in the West. We do have a DC presence. We have an office in Jakarta. We do web, digital, polling, research, marketing, public relations, and government affairs. So we're a one-stop shop. It's been really fun, something new every day. It's exciting to be in this political process still on the other side of the fence.
Well, it's really, first of all, so many people know of Strategies 360, and, it's just a top-notch firm. And you're one of the top firms out there, as you know. But it's really interesting about you. You've had, I was going to say 3, but really maybe even 4 distinct careers, as a firefighter, as a legislator, and then as speaker, because being speaker is very different than being a legislator, as you know. I don't have to tell you. And now as doing government relations, it's really, and I guess you could add in, a labor leader is a whole other role. Really incredible career.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. And I went to law school along the way, too. So you want to add that? I threw that in. Oh,
my God.
In my spare time.
And were you assistant chief? Where were you assistant chief? In Las Vegas?
Yeah, I was assistant chief in North Las Vegas, Nevada, which is just, there's a number of municipalities here in the southern Nevada. Las Vegas, Clark County, Henderson, and North Las Vegas are your major ones. But that's, I was in North Las Vegas, Nevada.
All right. Well, John, this has been incredibly helpful. I'm so glad we got to speak to you and give us a lay of the land. For our listeners out there, remember you can follow us on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. You can sign up for our email at politicallife.com. We will have all of John's information in the show notes if you want to reach out to him. He'd love to hear from you. And John, I can't thank you enough. So great to chat with you.
Well, thank you. It was fun to talk to you this morning as well. And, maybe we ought to talk in about 10 days and we'll see how I did on these predictions.